When archaeologists from Sydney University decided to lift the lid of an ancient Egyptian coffin, they made a startling find. The coffin from the 6th century BC had been part of the university's collection for more than 150 years. It was thought to be empty, but instead they found it was full of human remains. Julia Holman reports on what happened next.
This coffin was carved at the end of the Egyptian Empire more than 2,500 years ago, but it's what's inside that's intriguing modern-day archaeologists.
The remains inside the coffin we don't know really anything about. And so we're about to start a really detailed project to scientifically investigate these remains in the coffin and ask a whole bunch of questions, but really, who is inside the coffin?
Up until last year, no one realised that it was full of human remains. The coffin languished within the sandstone walls of Sydney University for more than 150 years, bequeathed by the Nicholson Museum's founder, Sir Charles Nicholson. The latest modern technology is being used to try to solve this ancient mystery. The first step is to laser image the coffin and its contents to create a high-resolution 3D model.
We have an archival record of the current situation, the current configuration of every little piece that's in the mummy before it's disturbed.
Coffins don't always hold the remains that they were intended for. Often the mummies were discarded, although Egyptian antiquity sellers would put another one in if a customer requested it. The hieroglyphics on this coffin say that it was intended for a priestess called Menethetis.
Do we have the remains of Menethetis inside? We don't know. That's why we're doing this.
These days, it's extremely rare that mummies are investigated like this. Archaeologists usually consider it unethical to disturb human remains, but these artefacts are in desperate need of preservation.
We can excavate in this coffin because it is so badly damaged that tomb robbers have really ripped it apart. So we can't do anything more to the condition of the body than hasn't been done already.
The next stage is to take the coffin off-site for a detailed CAT scan.
I've never done anything like this before. I hardly got any sleep last night.
All this fiddling is to see that we could actually get the entire coffin in one go. Yes, it fits. The scanner is designed for the bigger patient and also for the bigger coffin.
This isn't Professor John Magnuson's typical patient, but he's finding clues amongst the jumble of remains.
Wow. So you can see wrapping and bone, and there's two knees, and there's feet.
Finding the feet, as well as the sacrum bone, which is part of the spine, is a significant discovery.
We can start to make judgments about how old they are, because once the growth plates fuse and you start to move into adulthood, that becomes pretty obvious. So it's older and it's got some early degenerative changes on it. Mm-hmm. And the sacrum is completely fused, so we know it's definitely an adult.
So even though this is just very heavily disturbed and mixed up, there's still enough clues that we can trace all this sort of information.
Right. Yep.
This is so exciting.
Yeah.
We know that Menethetis herself, this priestess or this woman for whom the coffin was made, was an adult. And the joints in those bones say, yeah, they're the remains of an adult. And actually, they're the remains of an adult who's sort of 30 plus.
A few weeks later, back at the University of Sydney, the physical excavation is underway.
The CT scans showed that part of the feet and possibly part of the ankles were there preserved within their bandages. But today's the day that we actually lift them.
Are you ready for this one?
Egyptologist Dr. Connie Lord has been painstakingly sifting through the layers of debris to reach the feet.
1, 2, 3. There it is. I can feel it.
That would be the stump of the leg?
Yep. There it is.
That is so amazing.
So it's really from the ankles down, right?
Yeah.
Coming through.
Yeah, so there's the toes. That should be the toes. There could even be toenails which would be really thrilling. It's weird to want that, but that's what I want. Toenails are fantastic for radiocarbon dating. Little by little, this excavation has really told us more about this person in the coffin and hopefully given it some dignity that it lost when in ancient times it was looted so badly.
After lifting up the feet, Dr. Lord makes another important discovery.
This is, I'm pretty sure, this is the resin they've poured into the skull after they've removed the brain.
A piece of bone that could be part of the skull appears to match the resin cast.
So this is like the image you see of Tutankhamun's skull with the resin line. And it could tell us so much. There's so much here that we need to think about. It's just such an incredible find. I don't remember anyone finding something like this. It'd have to be rare.
There's months and maybe years of further analysis to try to definitively identify these remains.
All of these bits of information are starting to tally with what we would expect if that person was Menethotess herself. We're never going to get the smoking gun. We're never going to get a written bit of papyrus saying, my name is Menethotess. But by putting together this sort of picture, we can start to refine down that sort of the possibilities.
Menethotess and 3 other mummies will soon be exhibited in a new museum at the university.
The Egyptians often had a very common refrain that was painted onto the inside of their tombs or written on their coffin, which would translate as something like, speak my name so that I may live again. Those 4 individuals will be able to be displayed and together ask about what were their lives like, to speak their names so that they can live again.